there, everybody. So this is another episode of the Sports and Law Podcast. Obviously, I am your host, Coach Pierre, and I want to introduce the number one Colts fan on our podcast.
The Coach Cody Bauza, and being the biggest Colts fan also means I might have the biggest critiques, especially after what transpired towards the end of the season and after the news yesterday.
I'm gonna go ahead and just like with the Panthers a couple days ago, I'm gonna let this man go ahead and vent. This is a safe space, remember, Coach. All right, it's a safe space. Just let it all out. Let it all out.
All right. Well, first, I'll just start with the game from yesterday. I didn't expect much. I didn't come in thinking that we were going to win because it was going to be a long shot. One thing I am impressed with is just the play of Riley Leonard in general. He came out and he showed that. Sorry, video started playing here. The whole game started playing on my phone. But Riley Leonard impressed me. Now, that brings up a point that I made the other night about if Riley Leonard comes out and has a good game, does that get people talking about, was the Phillip Rivers signing a bad thing? Is he better than Anthony Richardson?
Right.
There's a few ways that I think you can look at it. One, yes, Riley Leonard did a great job yesterday. Couple rookie mistakes, the fumble was a big one, the kind of boneheaded interception, just throwing it to where nobody was around. That's the thing that you probably expect out of your 6th round rookie pick. So I think that's something you can kind of toss under. I don't think Phillip Rivers or Anthony Richardson makes that mistake. But I also don't think that if you play Riley Leonard, that the Colts are in better shape now than they were, when this whole thing transpired. Like I said, nobody really knows besides the people in the building what his exact medical status was going into that Seattle game.
Right.
Was he actually healthy enough? I mean, he was healthy enough to be the backup, but being healthy enough to be a backup and being healthy enough to be a starter, that's two different things. So I don't disagree with him not playing in Seattle. The Colts defense was just so shaky in general, besides that Seattle game and a little bit in the first half of the Jacksonville game. But the Seattle game was definitely their best defensive performance, and it ended up, kind of falling apart there at the end anyway. So my opinion is the Colts are still in the same situation, whether they played Riley Leonard or not. But I mean, you look at his stats and you could say, well, maybe he played against the Texans, B team. That is the case for the second half. First half, he played against the starters. And I mean, he had 2 touchdowns in the first half. 2 touchdowns, well north of 100 yards in the first half, which against the NFL's number 1 ranked defense, what more can you ask? He kept you in the game. And again, another 1 possession, loss for the Colts. It's been kind of the story of the year when it comes to the losses, besides the loss to Jacksonville in Jacksonville. All in all, 21-34 for 270 yards with 2 touchdowns, 2 throwing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown, which I thought the rushing touchdown was the most impressive out of all of them. Yeah, he had the deep ball to Pierce and the good throw, the back shoulder throw to Pierce there too towards the end of the first half. But I think the rushing touchdown is most impressive because it shows you kind of what his dual threat ability is, and that if he is going to be the backup for the Colts, moving forward, it's a nice play to have in your back pocket. It's kind of like that ace in the hole that you got if you ever need in a situation. Not saying that, Anthony Richardson's not a dual threat quarterback. We know that's probably his best feature besides being able to throw the ball 300 yards down the field. I mean, Daniel Jones was a dual threat. If they sign Malik Willis, whoever, that could be, the dual threat too. So I think being a dual threat quarterback in Shane Steichen's system is going to be important. And I think Riley Leonard, with the help of, some coaching aspects, decision making, I think he can be, a decent backup quarterback for the Colts. Other than that, offense, Alec Pierce, he needs to be the Colts wide receiver 1 next year.
Ooh,
after Pittman, there's 2 guys from yesterday's game that just acted like they didn't want to be on the roster next year. And I hate to say it because I have always liked the guy wearing the Colts uniform. Like, he kind of stands for what the organization stood for, does great work in the Indianapolis community, has seen the highs and lows of the franchise. But I think it's time to move on from Michael Pittman. He's a great receiver. I would take him over probably 75% of the league as far as it comes to receivers. But he has never been that deep ball playmaker when you need somebody to go out there and make the play when the ball is in the air. That throw has never gone to Michael Pittman. And ever since Alec Pierce has come in to the team, besides that first year was weird. He had some drop issues, but for now, he's led the league in yards per catch the last 2 years, number one in the NFL. He clinched that again yesterday. So you have somebody to go out there and make that deep play or just any play. Like, he's versatile. He can make any catch on the field. Just throw it up to wherever he can get it. He's going to go get it. And, a 60-yard play down the field can change the trajectory of a whole game. Jonathan Taylor, again, kind of non-existent again yesterday, which I think is the biggest thing that needs to be taken away from this whole downward skid. It's just the fact that Jonathan Taylor was in, MVP discussions the first 11 weeks of the season. And yes. I will proudly name myself the front runner of banging that drum to try to get him to that. I mean, granted, was it going to be hard for a running back to win MVP, especially after Saquon didn't do it and Christian McCaffrey didn't do it? But, it was kind of wide open. Mahomes kind of down year and getting hurt. Josh Allen kind of down year. It could have happened because now your two front runners are probably Stafford and Drake May. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and the betting odds is that it's Drake May now, especially with Stafford's performance the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. But another guy I was kind of impressed with, he really hasn't gotten a shot all year, was the backup running back, DJ Giddens. Hasn't gotten much, attention or really just the time in general since Abdullah came along too, which I have no problem with Amir Abdullah. He was a good veteran presence, stepped up when we needed him to. But Giddens, 8 attempts, 30 yards, had about 3 3/4 average for rushing. It's nothing that jumps off the page, but I was glad to see him finally get his shot. As far as good goes, that's about it. One thing I'm going to harp on, because I harped on it against San Francisco, harped on it against Jacksonville, a little bit against Jacksonville, especially in the second half. The Colts played their entire starting defense the entire game. Couldn't stop the Texans' second team offense.
Yep.
So when you're already dealing with an offense that struggles already with their first teamers and then you go out and lay an egg against their second teamers, that's a major red flag. Right. For anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, if you're the Chiefs, if you're the Raiders. If you're starting defense, I mean, that's essentially saying I'm playing all my starters in preseason against, second and third stringers. And you basically get, I don't want to say, Davis Mills diced them up by any means, but he did enough because Colts were leading. He did enough to come back and take the lead.
Right. And they scored 15 points in that second half, like you said, because Stroud was taken out. And 15 points in the league against a starting defense. Yeah.
Granted, Davis Mills, he has quite a bit of NFL time under his belt. He's probably, out of all the backups in the league right now, maybe with a handful of them, if even that many, has had the most reps, for as a starting quarterback, as technically a backup for a team. I do not think it's a Lou Anarumo problem.
Okay.
I'm still going to chalk up, the defensive struggles to injuries.
Okay.
Injuries are a big thing. Not having Travarius Ward and Sauce Gardner out there manning the corners, that takes away kind of what you want to do the whole time. Granted, Lou's still kind of stuck to his man coverage, and with Nico Collins not even playing yesterday and still having, Texans still having the success that they did, it's still kind of demoralizing. Like I said, I don't think it's Lou Anarumo problem. I think there needs to be moves made to kind of strengthen the defense. And I honestly think the first move that needs to be made is Zaire Franklin not being on the roster anymore. I think
Ooh,
you let him walk, and you give Jermaine Pratt,
right.
the money to stay.
Okay.
So I was kind of looking up, and
And this is a good linebacker draft.
yeah,
We had talked about it with the Panthers, and almost the same situation where your team and my team have poor linebacker plays to where on my linebacker play hasn't. I mean, it has, but it's allowed us at least to survive and make the playoffs. And your linebacker play has hurt your run game and run support to where Lou can't run all the things he wants to do
no,
for his
he can't
defense.
run the really like the disguise stuff.
Mhm.
Try to. I don't. I mean, I guess they're hard kind of trick plays on defense,
Right.
but it's basically just I mean best. It's disguising things. What exactly are you running from? What like are your run backers like if they're mugged up? Are they going to drop back in the coverage, or if
Mhm.
are they rushing the passer?
And again, like when you have good middle linebackers, all those guys are able to do that without your DC having to fix it up and clean
Right.
everything up. And watching Franklin play, no offense to him, yeah, he is the green sticker, but I don't see him as a big communicator out there. And
No,
that's not attacking his intelligence by any means,
no,
but
it's not.
he's not ordering, like, you know what I mean? Like you and there are a handful of guys in this league who can do that, but that's something that even high school linebackers, if you watch enough film and your confidence in your scheme, you should be able to direct guys, especially when we're tired. So,
Yeah. And I have a couple PFF grades pulled up here. I know some people don't enjoy PFF grades. I can go either way with them, but
correct. Like,
just
yeah.
okay. Is overall as a linebacker out of 87 linebackers that are eligible for
Mm-hmm.
this, his overall grade is a 35.9. That ranks 86th out of 87 linebackers. Pass rush grade 58.9, 56 out of 87. Run defense grade 55.3, 70th out of 87. And the one that probably irritates me the most, coverage grade 29.3, 85th out of 87 linebackers. So I do not want to see who those other two linebackers are in coverage.
Correct.
You
Oh,
know,
dude, you were better off having him almost be like what Michael Parsons it became, where it's like, all right,
yeah,
I was an inside backer, now I'm just gonna be an edge rusher. Because at least,
basically.
I mean, you goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
He had 71 solo tackles, which I mean isn't terrible. It's about middle of the pack. It's 32nd out of 87. He had 3 sacks from the linebacker spot, which is 16th out of 87. So I mean, I guess you could say that he was among the top when it comes to sacks,
Right.
but it was only 3. Granted, not everybody's gonna have Myles Garrett 23 sacks in a year.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often.
So, and it it's frustrating because of the flashes. I don't even want to say flashes because he's kind of proven himself. And, he's been a Pro Bowler. He's led the team in tackles, led the league in tackles
Mm-hmm.
too in points of his career. So it's like, I know, the talent is there. Just kind of what happened. Is it age? Is it you don't agree with Lou? I think the Colts are better off sticking if it is a disagreement with Lou
Mm-hmm.
or wanting to get younger. They're going to have to part ways somewhere. And I hate to say it, but I think Franklin's going to be the odd guy out.
Okay.
And kind of like we talked, I don't necessarily agree with all the jawing too, especially when you're putting up grades like this,
Right.
because if you can talk and then have the play to back it up, good on you. That's fine. I don't want to say it's fine, but it's a better situation for you.
You can live with it. You can
Yeah.
live with it.
But if you're doing all the talk and you have absolutely nothing, I mean, you are in the bottom percentile of almost every statistical category when it comes to being a linebacker. The talking is just not gonna it's not gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of brings me to another thing. Like if he, leaves or gets cut, whatever happens with him, that's kind of taken away from the defense there. There's also some other kind of questions, regarding our defense on who's actually going to stay. Because Charvarius Ward came out today and said, I dealt with 3 concussions this year. My dad wants me to retire. That is a big voice that is inside that man's head. If your dad is telling you you need to retire because of your basically mental health and physical state, I think it's going to happen. He even said if he comes back and he gets one more, he's done. So why even risk it?
Right.
And then DeForest Buckner, he's not getting any younger, and he had season-ending neck surgery. And I trust the Colts know neck surgery all too well. Peyton Manning.
Yep.
And that's kind of another thing, like between like Pittman and Franklin. If the Colts come out and say that these two, Pittman and Franklin, meant too much to the organization where they couldn't get rid of them, Jim Irsay, God rest his soul, if he could cut Peyton Manning, you can cut Zaire Franklin and Michael Pittman.
Right.
You may not want to, but it could be one of these things that just has to happen.
Do you know by any chance what their cap hit would be if you do cut them?
Franklin, I'm not 100% sure, but I know Pittman's can range anywhere between 24 million to 29 million.
Oh, wow.
If you cut him.
Right.
So, like I said, offensively yesterday, you did what you could. Like, you're out there with basically your third string quarterback, the beginning of the year, third string quarterback. Daniel Jones is hurt. Anthony Richardson's hurt. Phillip Rivers is 44. So, I mean, you had Riley Leonard and Brett Ripien yesterday, and then Phil was the emergency quarterback, but I don't think he had any intention on playing in the game. He was out there in street clothes yesterday, basically being coach, which he came out and said that he wants to be a coach, or it wouldn't be opposed to the idea. Him and his family had to talk about it. Wouldn't be opposed to being a head coach in the NFL, which brings us to the next point. So the Colts, right away after the game yesterday, basically it was just maybe a couple hours, said they're keeping Shane Steichen and they're keeping Chris Ballard. Shane Steichen, fine. Yeah, I'm cool with that. That's the only gripe I kind of have with Steichen is just, take yesterday, for example. He's going all out, different, motion schemes, pulling out these trick plays and stuff like this, like the fake punt to get us the first down, and then keep.
It was impressive.
Punt team out there to draw 12 men. It's like, where has this been? Like, why pull out of the tricks out of the bag now when you've needed something like this the last 7 weeks? Instead of kind of being a vanilla offense, which we know that Shane Steichen is not. Shane Steichen is a very good offensive coach. So why would you stick to the kind of the plain vanilla play calling that, you don't expect from a coach of his caliber, especially what he did with, San Diego, Philly, even flashes in Indianapolis. He doesn't have a winning record in the division as a head coach. Like, he's only beat Jacksonville. He hasn't beat Houston.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, granted, yes, we've beat Tennessee.
No, I know what you mean, but
he's beat Jacksonville. And I could be wrong. I know he hasn't beat Houston. He's either beat Jacksonville 1 or 2 times, but it's not good. But that's enough on Steichen, because I fully expected Steichen to be back. I wanted Steichen to be back. Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard. Just to give a little rundown first. This year was his 9th season in Indianapolis. 2026 will be his 10th season. If you had to give me a range of what his record is through these 9 seasons with Indianapolis, what kind of range are you giving as far as win-wise? How many wins do you think he has? I'll give you a hint. He has more losses than he does wins.
Okay, goodness. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to do the math, but I would say I would go percentages. The way you're
Mhm.
questioning it, I would say 45-55, 45% winning percentage.
It's pretty close. His overall record through 9 years is 70, 78, and 1, which, a lot of people say, well, that's close to 500.
Mm-hmm.
Close to 500 doesn't pay the bills.
Right.
Being close to 500 does nothing for you as a GM unless you're a second year GM, second year or even first year GM. I wouldn't go any higher than that. 0 in 8 years, 9 years, sorry, 0 AFC South titles, in which the AFC South has not been the dominant force that you see in other divisions.
Because I'm trying to think during that tenure, the big team, as you know, the Texans.
Houston or
But
not Houston, Tennessee with Mike Vrabel.
oh yes,
They had a couple
yes.
one seeds in there. Has never won the division. The Colts have made the playoffs 2 of those 9 years. 1 playoff win, and it was it was his first season. It was the AFC wildcard game against Houston, the Andrew Luck versus Deshaun Watson game down there in Houston. Other than that, he lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Chiefs that year, and then they lost to the Bills in the wildcard round of 2020. He's only had 4 winning seasons as a Colts GM. Other than that, it's been sub 500 every other year. I wrote the article last night about him coming back, and my biggest things were lack of success, which obviously we're getting at right now. Lack of consistency is the biggest one. Lack of consistency in key positions. And in my mind, when I think of that, it's obviously quarterback and head coach. In 9 years, Chris Ballard has had 4 different head coaches play for him. Chris Ballard has also had 13 different quarterbacks play for him in 9 years.
Goodness.
I mean, granted, it's all the fallout after Andrew Luck, and that's what people are going to back him up with, saying, oh, Andrew Luck retired, suddenly in 2019, he didn't have a choice. No, they did. They had choices, and obviously you can't pin it all on Ballard because he's not the only one making decisions.
Correct. And you mentioned before, sorry to interrupt. Like you mentioned before, he would have kept Carson Wentz, but Irsay wanted him out, so that probably could have helped. And
yeah,
there's been some instances.
Yes, and out of all these things, the losing seasons and the 1 playoff win, 2 playoff appearances, all the different quarterbacks, all the different head coaches, they're all gone. Besides, Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson's the only one left out of all 13 of those quarterbacks, and that's only because this was his only 3rd year in the league. They can't do anything with him at the moment. Who, or I should say, what is the common denominator out of all 9 of these seasons?
Oh, I know. I know. I'm a free smart guy. Christopher Ballard.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like every one of these guys has been held accountable, whether it was, Carson Wentz getting basically ran out of town,
right?
Matt Ryan getting forced out of town, Anthony Richardson hurt. That's like they don't have Sam Ehlinger anymore. Let's see, Nick Foles is gone.
Sam Ehlinger.
Brian Hoyer, Gardner Minshew, Jacoby Brissett. They all lost their job in Indianapolis. I mean, Phil. Sorry, I forgot about Phil. Phil came back. Phil did come back. Phil did come back, but it was a desperation kind of, thing. All these other guys, Frank Reich, Chuck Pagano, Jeff Saturday, have all been held accountable for, the play and everything else. The only one that hasn't been held accountable is Chris Ballard, and I just don't understand why. Because any other team, like Raheem Morris, this was his 3rd year as the Falcons coach or second?
Second. Second.
Second. And they, subpar seasons both times. Gone. Get out.
Yeah, they got rid of him and the GM Terry Fontenot. So and he clearly, obviously, the draft day when they made that selection, it was like, hey, you guys better work or you're gone.
Whenever Fontenot is sitting there explaining, because you see the owner come up and he's like, I just paid how many millions of dollars for Kirk Cousins, and you go take a quarterback with our first round pick. Tell me, make sure I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's that. Jonathan Gannon, third-year head coach, obviously not producing, gone. You can say what you want about Kevin Stefanski's a good coach, and he coaches in Cleveland, so that's that's a whole different can of worms.
And there's been some things with Kevin I wish they would have done better, like the whole quarterback Shedeur Sanders thing. Yeah. I personally am a dude who thinks Shedeur Sanders can play, but I also think there were some things that the organization itself didn't do a good enough job of supporting Kevin or their quarterback, so then it just becomes a giant mess of just.
And I'm full on board. I'm full on board that Stefanski didn't want Deshaun Watson either. I feel like that was a higher up call, and he had no say in it.
Right.
But going back to my GM, Chris Ballard's tenure in Indy also has included first team to be 6 games above 500 and finish with a losing record. That'd be this year. 2 seasons with a 95% chance of making the playoffs and failing to do so. 2021, 2025. Also has the largest blown lead in NFL history, the 33-point game against Minnesota in 2022.
That did happen. Oh my gosh.
And you can, there's all this stuff to back it up. I will be fair and say that Chris Ballard has also ran into it's been very unlucky when it comes to things. Just go down a list, the Andrew Luck early retirement, the Shaq Leonard early retirement, go back to this year, Daniel Jones Achilles tear, that ultimately led to your season collapsing.
Right.
Anthony Richardson, still don't know. DeForest Buckner, possibly an early retirement too. Travarius Ward, early retirement, possibly. Sauce Gardner plays 1 full game, basically, before injuring his calf. And then that's what people are going to harp on too, is about, the draft pick. Like, why trade for Sauce? Why do that now? Looking at it now, yes, it looks dumb. But at the time, I feel like it was the right move. You were, 8-2, or were you? No, you weren't even 8-2. You were 7-2 at that time. It was after week 9, 7-2, going into Berlin to play the Falcons. You are the number 1 seed in the AFC. You're the number 1 seed in the NFL. Number 1 team. You saw a hole that you needed fixed, and you did a win now move. Get out, got it. That is one thing I think Chris Ballard should not apologize for, is that. But now that you don't have your draft pick, the Jets have it, and it's at 15. Middle of the pack, but that's where you drafted Tyler Warren last year. So who knows what you could have got with that. And then, with the finish this year, looking at your schedule now this year, it's not going to be, too daunting, but it's not going to be any easier than what it was this year. It's going to be about the same. Like, we play the Chiefs again at Arrowhead. Let's see, we got Baltimore at home, we got Cincinnati at home, Dallas at home. Those 3 teams are nothing, kind of push over. I know Baltimore had a down year this year, but there was a lot of weird things that happened in Baltimore. You can never count out Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is still probably one of the top 7 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Let's see. You're going to Washington. I think Washington will figure it out. I think they'll be better next year. Jaden Daniels will be healthy. Dan Quinn's going to figure some sort of scheme out to make things work. You go to Minnesota. Again, Kevin O'Connell's going to figure out something. Kevin O'Connell is probably one of the best coaches in the NFL right now. In my opinion, he's 1, if not 2, or 2, if not 1. Let's see. You go to Pittsburgh, where we haven't won in years there either. I think 2004 was the last time we won in Pittsburgh. We've beaten the Steelers, but every time we've beaten the Steelers, it's been in Indy. It's been in Indy. So you can't win there. And then, of course, you got to play Jacksonville and you got to play Houston twice. So, and then, we also have the Giants and the Dolphins and the Browns. So it's like, we also have to go to Philly. too. So like it doesn't. There's no break in that schedule except for maybe the Giants. The Browns are going to be stingy. Yeah, they might not blow you out, but the defense is good. And then who knows what the Titans are going to be next year.
Right.
Uh, I mean, they came out with Carly came out with a press conference today and did everything, and basically her main thing was, we have to be able to find a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, we've been kind of trying to figure that out for the last few years. And then, like, when they were talking about, Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen, I think this is more on Ballard than anything, because this is his next year will be his last year, which is, I think, like on his contract anyway.
Right.
Which I think is another reason why they kept. And they said the decision to keep Steichen and Ballard was made last week.
Mm.
It wasn't even made yesterday.
Okay.
But she comes out and says the sense of urgency for them to perform and deliver has never been higher. Was it not high to come out and perform this year? Like, did you have low? Granted, I know the Colts' expectations coming into this year was low, but do you not want those guys to succeed?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then she goes on saying, like, you just have to be able to face adversity better. And I like what Carly's done. I like what, the sisters have done in general. It's just, there are more fans out there. I like to consider myself one of the more level-headed ones, but there are some who are not going to take these answers and I don't want to say I'm okay with it, but I'm not going to blow it way out off the wire for it. It's like, all right, like they all have their jobs to do. They're human. It's things like this are going to happen. But, they haven't discussed a extension for next year or after next year. So, like I said, with next year being his last year under contract, I think that's a big reason why they kept him. I also think with them not having their next 2 first-round draft picks, they're probably thinking what GM's going to want to come in here and not have a first-round pick the next 2 years.
Right. So it's almost let him sit in the mess that he made
and see what he can do.
See what he can do. Because I also think, like you said earlier in an earlier episode, that part of it also would just be the owner. Obviously, Carly and the sisters had to have been okay with it. You explain that to them, and even if you think they don't know a whole lot about football, common sense would tell you, but are you sure this is the right play? You know what I mean? Like he went for it, and again, I'm always smart, aggressive moves always make sense to me. Well, so like you said, you can't be mad at a guy for trying to capture the moment, especially because you don't know what's going to happen. And unfortunately, your quarterback got hurt and your season went on the rails.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't know what's all indications from things that I'm hearing, just from like things on X and just some other digging in that I've had with people that are over in Indianapolis and guys that do have access inside the building. All indications that Daniel Jones is coming back.
Okay.
Whether it's going to be on a franchise tag or not, I simply don't see Indy burning the franchise tag on Daniel Jones. I see him giving him a lucrative offer that makes him want to stay. He already said he wants to stay. He enjoys, the city, enjoys everybody in the locker room. Mm-hmm. And then I think they're probably going to use the tag on Alec Pierce. I'm really not sure what the money is going to look like. It's going to be probably around the $20 million range, I would say. And then like another thing, like Alec Pierce came out today in his kind of postseason conference and said that a big thing in keeping him there is going to be keeping Daniel Jones there. If Daniel Jones is still there, the likelihood you're getting Alec Pierce to stay, he said, is high, like very high. Like if so, in my mind, it's like, do it. Why not do it? Like you had a quarterback who is probably going to lead you to the playoffs and one of the best wide receivers in football this year. So if you can basically get one of them or get both of them for kind of the price of one with the franchise tag and everything, I think the Colts would be silly not to do that.
Now, this is Google, but according to Google, it says for this upcoming offseason, the franchise tag will be a little over $28 million because you take the
Hey,
five highest salaries. So I'm
that's
assuming
true.
that's like
Yeah.
Jefferson, Chase,
Chase.
all those guys. And then you just kind of go, all right, there
Yeah.
you go. There's your deal.
Yeah.
Man. All right. So we're gonna take a quick break and then got a couple questions for you. All right. See
All
you in
right.
a bit.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody, we are back. So I had a couple questions for Cody as the number one Colts fan here. I just want to start off with this. With everything that's been going on, obviously you're still a fan, you're still ride or die for your team. So what is the one offseason move you'd like for them to do that will almost convince you that this organization is serious about winning or serious about contending? Because at the end of the day, it's fun to see our teams win and make the playoffs. So what do you expect to see, or what would you like to see?
I would like to, and I know I mentioned it before, I would like to see a little bit of reamp on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
We went out and did it last offseason. You know, we signed Cam Bynum, we signed Javarius Ward, and we brought Lou Anarumo in. I think there can be like I said, the defensive line itself is aging right now. You got Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner, who are well into their 30s right now. So, and grant 30s is not old. Heck, I'm pushing 30. I don't want to say that I'm getting old yet, but
Hey, I'm 30. I'm about to turn 35. So
yeah.
I'm there with you.
Yeah, but when it comes to being a excruciating position like a defensive tackle, getting in your 30s, that's starting to get kind of up there, especially when you've been dealing with injuries. So I think, and I've seen a lot of people say we need to go all out for Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is a good player. Trey Hendrickson is a great player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's your answer.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
He's aging. He's aging as well.
Mm-hmm.
He has a hard time staying healthy, and you're gonna pay a very pretty penny to get him.
He's almost going to
So,
be sorry to interrupt. He's going to
no.
be your perfect addition to that contending team that just needed a veteran presence, a guy who can take 75% of the snaps on a pass rush situation, and almost the icing on the
Mm-hmm.
cake of a good roster, not a hey, we need you to be a every down, everyday player for us.
Yeah, and to name one specific player other than Hendrickson, I don't really have a specific guy in mind. I just know whether it's going out and getting that guy that can be a difference maker, or going to make a bunch of smaller moves to just kind of reamp yourself, build that depth that that other teams have had success with, like the Chiefs. When the Chiefs were good, they still are good, just had a weird down year this year.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to hand it to the Chiefs when it comes to their depth at basically any position. It's always the next man up kind of mentality, and I think that's something the Colts have lacked for I'm just gonna come out and say it, for 9 years now. I know it's a specific number, but it coincides with a lot. I just don't think they have the depth right now to really do anything. So I think just adding to that offensive side of the ball, I wouldn't touch much. Besides, the obvious of keeping Alec Pierce. If you can keep Alec Pierce and keep Michael Pittman, great, awesome. But I think it's either going to be one or the other. And the way I lean right now is keeping Alec Pierce, and maybe you can trade Michael Pittman. I don't want to see him cut. I would obviously rather see a trade happen,
Mm-hmm.
but you've got to think what team is going to take on that contract, because it's a pretty hefty hit. Like I said, it can be up to $29 million. It's going to have to be somebody who obviously has the cap room, is a contender right now, and I I mentioned the article I wrote about is that you might be able to squeak back into the first round
Mm-hmm.
if you can trade. that is absolute ceiling at the
Right.
most. And if you are going to get, a first round pick for him, it's going to be, I will say 19 at the highest. You're going to be somewhere between that 19 and obviously the last pick in the first round range, which it's going to be tough to get a first from Michael Pittman. I don't think we would. It's a possibility that there might be somebody out there who might pull the trigger, but like a team like the Bills intrigues me when it comes to trading away Michael Pittman. Only thing with the Bills is their cap room is kind of shady, especially they have to try to bring back James Cook next year,
Yeah.
which they're obviously going to give the money to James Cook before going out and getting Michael Pittman, unless Bean has something up his sleeve to where he can get it done, restructure and all that. I don't know if Josh Allen would take like a Patrick Mahomes kind of deal, like kind of spread out the money like he did or not. Other than that, I think the Patriots could do it too, but I think Vrabel has already, traded, well, granted it wasn't his decision to trade AJ Brown, but I don't think Vrabel's going to make any moves. The Chargers also kind of interested me. They have the cap room, don't really have the number one receiver. I mean, Keenan Allen's getting up there in age. Quentin Johnson, can you really trust him? Lad McConkey's good, but is he truly a number one wide receiver in the league? Maybe he could be. Like, he's a great slot option, I think, and he has made plays on the outside. But as far as being, the overall number one playmaker, I don't know. But I've also said the same thing about Michael Pittman. I don't think he is that number one overall playmaker. I think he's your reliable source, but for making a big play, I just don't see it.
Mm-hmm. Ursay mentioned something about the team not, like you said, she felt like they're not that far away. So do you think that she's almost being overly optimistic, or is she just ignoring some concern in the organization or in the foundation of the team that she's again either not aware
Mm-hmm.
of or is just almost blind to?
I think it could be a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think that, if you fill the holes that need to be filled and you don't have as bad a luck injury wise, I think they are very close to contending. I mean, heck, they were contending all year this year until injuries went south. I think, being the owner of a team, you're kind of looking through rose-colored glasses as well.
Yeah.
Because like this is your baby. Like,
Right.
Nobody's going to tell me that somebody else's child is more beautiful than mine. I think it can be that, like, she's been in the organization for however old she is right now. That's all she known is Colts football because of obviously her dad and the rest of the family. But I think a few pieces here and there, and they can contend. Are they Super Bowl contenders? Granted, did I have blinders on this year too when we were 8-2? Yes, I did. But I haven't seen an 8-2 record for a few years now, and I got excited, and obviously I stepped way. I should have reeled it back in a little bit, as our other fellow brother-in-law has not failed to mention what I said in October, in November.
Yeah, he kept receipts.
Yeah, he did. But I think they can be contenders, but I also think that you can't be fooled by blatant, obvious problems.
Right. What does 2026, what does success look like to you? With everything that you know what's going on, what is success? Like, hey, if this happens, no matter what, obviously it could be a win number, it can be playoff, like, but you as a fan, what does success look like to you at the end of this year, 2026?
So I'm gonna break it down in like kind of like three steps. Like, you're gonna have like your bronze success, your silver success, and your gold success. So I'm gonna say your third level success is winning, being over 500. And I'm not saying 9 and 8 over 500 at 10 wins.
Right.
10 wins is successful. Is that kind of third level tier for me? Kind of in the second tier, I'm gonna say winning the division, making the playoffs. They're going to coincide because Houston and Jacksonville are going to be tough
right
next year. I think I think fans will be happy. I know I would be happy just getting into the playoffs next year. That's successful to me. But and then obviously, top of the line, I think is going to be winning one playoff game. Granted, I can go out there and say, winning the Super Bowl is obviously the ultimate goal, but you almost have to be realistic. Like if the Colts got into the playoffs this year, granted this year it almost seems the AFC is, I would say, wide open. Like Houston has the defense, but do they have the offense? Like I know they're the 3 seed, but the team that scares me the most for any of these teams right now is Jacksonville. Jacksonville's playing better than probably any of them right now. So I think if the Colts got in this year, it would have been maybe, heck, it could have been a one and done. It could have been, make it to the AFC Championship game. Who knows? So that's kind of my 3 tiers there. Make your first goal, winning season. And like I said, not win 10 games. Second, division/playoffs, and then win a playoff game. That's what the success story looks like to me.
Okay. Last question, 2 for 1. So what was the biggest, let me go negative and positive, the biggest red flag that you may not have mentioned, or you just want to reiterate that you saw this season from the Colts? Biggest red flag.
Biggest red flag I saw, and just from my perspective, because I saw it firsthand in person, was the play calling got weird after the bye week.
Okay. Explain.
So, I mean, you were in Kansas City that
I was.
Just the fact that I'm sitting around, 2 of probably the biggest Chiefs fans I've ever been around in my life, being at Arrowhead, one being brother-in-law, the other one being, just a guy that I just met. But even like we're all 3 sitting there saying, all right, the Colts are up by, I think 11 or 13 at this point.
Yeah.
All right, there's 9 minutes left. All right, it's Jonathan Taylor time.
Absolutely.
No
JT.
We ran it one time in the fourth quarter, and it was a -1 yard rush. Chiefs ultimately come back and win. It's like, all right, Steichen had a brain fart there. It's not going to happen again. Will happen again in Houston, and then it happened again, and it's like, why are we not using our MVP caliber running back? What happened? And I think, I don't want to say that the Colts were also being, weird about Daniel Jones's injury, but I just want to know when it happened, because there is no clear answer on when that happened. Like you beat Atlanta and Berlin, and you're riding high, nothing about it. You go into the bye week, nothing about it. 2 days before we leave to go to Kansas City, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, Daniel Jones has a calf injury. All right. So it's a calf injury going into Kansas City. After that, you don't really hear much about it. A day before they play the Texans, hey, Daniel Jones has a broken fibula. What do you mean he has a broken fibula? I thought it was a calf injury, like maybe like a low-grade calf strain that's not going to be much. Like it's going to inhibit some mobility, but
you put a sleeve on that thing. You put a shot of Toradol in there.
I mean, it was severe enough to where he had to have his friends from Duke 3D print a pad to put on there to protect it a little bit, and then ultimately he's favoring that leg, and like and I will not blame Daniel Jones for the loss against Kansas City and the loss against Houston. I will not, because no matter what they say, he never turned into that pumpkin people thought he was going to. He played good. Granted, it wasn't, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes type numbers in those 2 games, but he played good enough for you to win.
Right.
And then against Jacksonville, throws the pick early. It's like, all right. But then he leads a flawless drive down the field, their second drive against Jacksonville. It's like, all right. And he's moving. He's mobile. It's like, all right, he's feeling better. Let's go out there and win this thing. And then it's just Achilles, because I mean, you're ultimately favoring that one leg. That's what people are worried about.
Yeah.
So it's a red flag for me was probably just why we got away from such successful offense after the bye week. Could probably be my biggest red flag.
Okay. And then final question, biggest step. So the big step, any big step forward that you saw, huge positive. You want to, you know what? No matter what happened, I could take this away from the season.
I'm just gonna say the offense in general. I was very impressed with it because I can't remember seeing a Colts offense operate like that. Like, that's how the Colts offense was supposed to operate under Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
Like, all the motion, all the moving parts and all that, the dual threat. What's the quarterback actually going to do? I that is to me, because like we said, a couple weeks ago, it's like the Colts were scoring 40 points a game. They were the most high powered, most efficient through 8 weeks. The Colts were the most efficient offense since the 2007 Patriots.
They had done more things with that offense with that first first couple games than any other Colts team in history. And it was like,
And we
remember,
had Peyton Manning.
you had Peyton Manning who threw for 49 touchdowns one season
Yeah,
and looked like unstoppable. You also had a Colts. You also had a Peyton Manning team that was basically undefeated until they were like, "Yeah, we're good" after 13 games.
we're gonna let
So
Curtis Painter play
yeah,
these last 2 games. Yeah,
yes, like it was really impressive to watch, and it
yeah,
and
and it's
it's
like you had offensive numbers going up, and also not only did you have Peyton Manning, you had Reggie Wayne, you had Marvin Harrison, you had Joseph Adai, Dallas Clark, you had all of these guys,
mhm.
and none of them put up numbers than what the Daniel Jones led Colts did this year. I mean, if you would have told me that coming into the season, and I will be the first one to pull the tape. Whenever I got the news that Daniel Jones was starting this season, I was beside myself. I just didn't know what to think. And then ultimately, I mean, it led us here, but you know, Jones wasn't the reason we got here. The just weird things that happened all year. So
Yeah.
offensively, you take that with a healthy offense, you know what you can do. So I think you take that next season and you run with it.
All right. Well, anything else you want to share before we sign off and put a wrap on this Colts season until
Yeah.
free agency, draft, and then we'll tell some people what you're going to be up to these next couple of weeks and months.
Colts wise, I think I've made my peace with it. I will say this weekend, my cousin is a diehard Steelers fan, so I'm gonna go be raiding his closet for Steelers jerseys against the Texans,
Uh-huh.
and then if Houston wins, whoever plays them in the next round, I will be a fan of them. I
Uh-huh.
will be a fan of them until somebody beats them because I won't be able to live with it.
No, no, you won't. No, you won't. No, you won't.
No.
All right, man. Once again, sorry. You guys had done, like we talked about earlier, you guys had done such an excellent job this season that it sucks that you really never got that either opportunity to someone truly beat you guys at full strength. Because say what you want about Kansas City, we can say it. Jones was clearly hobbled. The play
Yeah,
call from Steichen clearly showed that something was off. And since then, after that bye, ugh,
yeah, it
it,
was
it, it
it was
just
something was weird.
something was weird. So hopefully he comes back healthy. And watching Sam Darnold should at least Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield should make you feel like okay,
Mhm.
it seems as though he's figured it out and he's not changing teams. The Colts can bring him back as long as he's healthy, takes it
Yeah,
slow. He should be able to at least pick up to where he was left off and take it to another level. And hopefully, who knows, maybe Anthony Richardson is his year watching Daniel Jones ball out kind of gives him that extra oomph to take over and be the guy that you thought he should be. So,
yeah. Hopefully, he watched real closely with the one eye that was working.
gosh, yeah, that still we talked about it. We said that exhaust. That's still the weirdest thing I've ever heard. So Cody, ladies and gentlemen, if listening through, make sure to follow Cody. He's gonna be posting all sorts of stuff. Obviously, I will as well. I'm in a different boat with my team still in it. We're playing the Rams. I'll do a breakdown on my own channel, but goodness gracious, it's gonna be a tough. It's one thing to beat them once. It's gonna be another thing to do it
Beat
again.
him twice.
To beat them twice, the
Yeah.
hardest thing to do. So, especially for all the marbles. So yeah, Cody, anything else? You said you just posted the Ballard article. Do you
Yep.
have anything else you're going on the pipe that people can check out?
I'm gonna be doing like I'll probably take some things I said here and just a little bit other deep dive, just kind of overall grading, each unit, offense, defense, special teams, coaching,
Mhm.
just an overall report card of how the year went.
Okay.
That'll be the next thing, and then slowly moving into off-season moves and draft ideas.
Okay.
Spending a lot of time looking at second round talent.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not as it's not sexy, but somebody's got to do it.
Exactly.
So yeah, and Cody will be going to the Senior Bowl this year, so we can't wait to get that breakdown from him. Hopefully he can get some insider scoop information and share it on the podcast. So
I'm hoping to see some future horseshoes running around out there, somewhere. I don't know who it's going to be. Someone might catch the eye, but
somebody's going to be part of the Colts unit next year. So
yeah, and I will say one of my buddies, he's on the Bears practice squad right now. He attended the Senior Bowl, and I got in contact with him, hopefully to get him on here, once the season winds down,
absolutely,
and everything like that. And he said, the Senior Bowl is cool and everything. Like it's a good time. He goes, you get to see a lot of the guys who don't get the national, recognition of like, a first round draft pick and all that. Cause he went in the third round, drafted by the Packers, started for 2 years, got to play with Aaron Rodgers. And, for being a kid who grew up in Nashville, Illinois, town of 3,000 people, going and playing in the NFL with Aaron Rodgers. It's a cool thing to hang your head on. So
absolutely.
Like if he tells me things are good, perfect. So it's gonna be neat to see.
Can't wait. Yeah. Once again, intro music and outro music is made by yours truly, Cody. It's a slap, it's a banger, whatever the kids want to call it. Man, it's pretty good. I listen to it on my free time anyway. So
yeah,
all right.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't have it in my headphones playing the other night when I was at the gym, just to kind of get a feel for it.
Just to titilize it. All right, that's it, everybody. Appreciate you. Till next time. Peace.
Yep. See ya.